Something very strange is happening. China is opening police stations in Canada, but if you see the map of this Safeguard Defenders organization, they seem to be everywhere in the Western world. And you'll see the map: Canada, United States, Brazil, Peru, Argentina, most of the European member states, and parts of Ukraine as well. Mongolia, of course, it goes without saying China would be in there, but and also Japan. So what's happening here? According to the information in a report by the Asian human rights organization Safeguard Defenders, China is opening police stations in Canada to serve as outposts for China's involuntary return policy. In an apparent effort by the country's security state to monitor the Chinese Canadian diaspora, the People's Republic of China has opened at least 3 police stations in Canadian soil. The Fuzhou Public Security Bureau, a law enforcement agency operating in the Chinese metropolis of Fuzhou, is known to have registered 3 addresses in Toronto as service stations, quote unquote, run by the Bureau. And in the information revealed in the PDF below 21 pages, that the Asian human rights organization Safeguard Defenders just released. Local media is now step by step investigating many of these stations with Safeguard Defenders SD's help, and we have collected lots of data on many of them to push understanding about these stations further. China argues that the station's sole purpose is to help expats of China with administrative procedures like renewing their driver's licenses, if you could believe that. Now, according to Safeguard Defenders, the stations primarily serve as outposts for China's involuntary return program, which compels Chinese citizens to return home anytime the country's security service determines that they have broken Chinese law. They say that these operations eschew official bilateral police and judicial cooperation. According to the organization, Chinese officials have asserted that 230,000 of their expats have been persuaded to return during the course of the previous year on a variety of charges. Safeguard Defenders claims that in order to get these returns, severe measurements are frequently taken against their families of those who are being targeted, including asset seizures and bans on accessing government-funded health care and education as well. The 3 locations in Toronto that have been listed as Fuzhou Public Security Bureau stations were visited by a Globe and Mail reporter. The first was a private residence, the second was a mall that was primarily home to Chinese Canadian businesses, and the third was the location of the Canada-Toronto Fuking Business Association, a recognized nonprofit. The association was established under direct supervision of the Chinese government, according to the Globe and Mail, and its honorary president has previously hailed Beijing's initiatives to strengthen its administrative state abroad in order to give expats of China a sense of the warmth of the country, quote unquote, the warmth of the country. Okay. One of the more, they are using that as a phrase instead of saying, you're obliged to come back. Now, one of the more than a dozen countries that now host Chinese law enforcement overseas outposts in Canada, the article in the Irish Times this week mentioned the debut of the Fuzhou Overseas Police Service Station in the heart of Dublin, Ireland. China's Ireland Embassy told the publication in remarks that the station was just a venue for Fuzhou expats to complete return routine paperwork. During the past 2 years, they said the pandemic made international travel not easy, and quite a few Chinese nationals found their Chinese ID cards and or driver licenses expired or about to expire, and yet they could not get the ID renewed back in China in time, they said. Dissidents of Beijing government who reside in Canada have long warned Canadian officials that they will be subjected to systematic persecution by Chinese authorities. The People's Republic of China critic Sheng Sui, who is based in Mississauga, was the target of persistent cyber attacks and defamation efforts in 2019, She was covered by the New York Times in 2019. Shuang told Times of her 1989 escape from China in the aftermath of the Tiananmen Square massacre. She says, "I thought I'd be safe, happy life in Canada. I'd have a safe, happy life in Canada, but the Chinese Communist Party," she added, "was already here." And this is on Great Game India. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.